All right guys, so today I'm going to be showing you how to install one of our CSP full steel subframes on this F4i that's right behind me. As you can see, I've already removed the stock like OEM subframe. It's pretty straightforward, and if you don't know how to do that, basically just follow this video and go backwards. Pretty simple, but I'm gonna go over everything you're gonna need to be able to do this and how to accomplish it. First thing you're gonna need, an F4i. Second thing you're gonna need, one of our subframes. And then just some simple hand tools. It's all fairly straightforward. Mounts up in OEM location using OEM bolts. You got your gas tank mount, seat mount, the voltage regulator that's mounted on these Hondas. From factory, they're actually over here on the side of the subframe, in behind the tail fairing. Well, if you know anything about voltage regulator, you notice they have cooling fans on them. How much air does that voltage regulator get when it's mounted inside the fairings? That's right, it doesn't. So that was one of the key features whenever I was designing the subframe, was to move that regulator to where it would constantly be exposed to air, right? So it's up underneath the tail here. That way it's always got access to fresh air, and when you're moving, it's constantly getting cooled off. And anyone that's ever had a Honda, they know that the wiring going from the stator to that rectifier, that white plug, always melts because of heat. Not because of anything you did, but because of what Honda did. Anyway, this helps that. You still got your seat latch, you still got your tabs for your sub cage to bolt on, everything like that. You got a shock reservoir clamp, all that good stuff, right? Everything's going to bolt up pretty much one for one, just like the OEM one. However, you get the added strength of steel, you get some gussets, you get a sturdier like seat bracket area back here. Any of you guys that spend a lot of time on a stock F4i know this aluminum structure that's here from factory, a lot of times this will crack, especially if you're a bigger dude, right? If you're not like a 120-pound rider, you're putting a lot of stress on all of this that holds that seat. So we upgraded all of that, made that out of steel, nice, girthy. It's gonna hold. But I won't ramble on any more about the product. I'm just gonna get it on there and show you guys what it looks like and how easy it is to install. Now we've got our front four bolts in. So at this point, I'm gonna start looking at getting our battery tray in, and I'll go over that with you guys. So one thing you're gonna notice is that this battery tray is shorter than OEM. Now you don't have to cut the battery tray off. You can just cut a square here for the voltage regulator. But if you're like me or anyone else that just basically rides lots only, it doesn't matter that you have a hole all the way through where your seat is. So a lot of times what we do, we'll just lob the whole thing off. It's easier access to be able to get back here and do things. So totally user preference. Either way is fine. But for this bike, dedicated lot bike, we're just cutting the whole end of it off. This is arguably, in my opinion, the hardest part of putting a subframe back together. Right, now we gotta start laying all of our wires. So I'm gonna show you how I ran this. So your relay harness and your ECU harness, the main harness, and the voltage regulator harness. I laid them in the bottom of the tray first, then put the solenoid in on top, which just clicks into the little ears, just like normal. Got your battery cables, don't forget your negative like I did. Have to fish that back up through there. Of course, your fuses snap in here. These, if you still have that part of your tail fairing back here, you can still hook them up, or if not, like what we'll do here, is pull these down here and attach them to the actual battery tray. So now that I got my harness laid in, ECU here, I'm gonna put the battery in a little bit, but I wanna wrap up all this. I'm gonna bolt up the gas tank next. I went ahead and just slid the shock reservoir in the clamp because it made it easier once I was pulling the wires around. Tighten the front of these. We'll get a sub cage on. I'll show you how to mount the F4i 12 bar back here. And then we'll put the tail fairing on it and the seats on it and battery, and we'll be good to go. Gas tank rear mount, or front seat mount, I don't know, call it either one. Doesn't matter. 8mm, be careful on these. If you over torque them, they do strip out pretty easy. All right, so let's mount a sub cage. So the difference between your OEM subframe and this subframe, when you go to mount your sub cage, we now use a through bolt that takes a nut instead of a threaded, instead of threading the subframe, because, well, that's one more thread you can strip versus through bolting a nut. You screw up the thread, it's okay. You just put a new nut on. All right, sub cage is mounted. Now it's time to mount the 12 bar. And this is gonna require a hand drill, a 3/8 drill bit, and a little bit of patience. So for the next part, when it comes to mounting the 12 bar, a lot of times a friend and a Sharpie can come in handy. Have one of you hold this up here, and then the other one will mark the holes. All right, now it's time to put our tail fairing back on. And if you haven't had a 12 bar on your bike before, sometimes you need to trim just a little bit for the titanium block to stick through. It's not a big deal. Just trim the very end pretty well. Good to go at that point. Now getting these on, I used to remember a trick, and I'll probably figure it out about halfway through this, but from what I can remember, it's kind of a little funky. Yeah, just grab it, pull out on the bottom of it a little bit. Get it down, slide it forward. Then you just put your 2 bolts up here in the front, 2 bolts right here. Unfortunately, Ryan, the owner of this bike, has vinyled over these 2 holes, so yeah, you put those in. Couldn't find the hole. There we go. Ta-da. Yeah, the front of the seat was getting hung on the plastic a little bit. There's the rear seat. Y'all already know it's F4i. It takes 2 bolts. Hook it in there. Put her down right there. 2 bolts straight down. One thing we did improve on the subframe is your factory seat bolts are an M6. Well, you guys know if you're running a step plate, that's a lot of weight, and you're being held up by 2 M6 bolts basically. So we ended up upsizing the seat bolts to an M8 to give you some more, some more structure, rigidity, and honestly insurance to make sure that when you're bouncing around that step plate, that it don't go anywhere. Guys, that concludes our F4i steel subframe install. As you can tell, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad to do. Pretty simple tools like 6mm Allen, 8mm Allen, 14 socket, 17 wrench, 5mm Allen, and a 4mm Allen. All pretty well straightforward, standard stuff, everything you should have in the toolbox. Don't forget, you need a drill and a 3/8 drill bit to be able to install your 12 bar. No, we do not drill these because I don't know what 12 bar you're running. If you're running one of ours, cool. If you're not, that's okay too. There's plenty of room to be able to mount whichever style 12 bar you want on this thing. And as you can tell, it's like a glove. Looks great, all that good stuff. If you want one, they're on the website. Yeah, I don't know, that's all I got. Now let's install the cage. Oh.